Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Biological Concepts. In today's video, we will going to discuss on the life cycle of a malaria parasites. So stay tuned. First of all, we will discuss some important points on malaria. Malaria is a life-threatening vector-borne disease that is spread to humans by the female Anopheles mosquito. Now, why it is known as a vector-borne disease? Because this disease is transmitted and spread by the mosquitoes. A vector-borne disease are one that are transmitted by vector such as mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, sandflies, etc. Here the vectors are mosquitoes. The blood transfusion and contaminated needles may also transmit the malaria, but this rate is very low. The main cause for transmitting this disease is caused by the female Anopheles mosquitoes. This disease is mostly found in the tropical countries. It is caused by a parasite named Plasmodium, which is a protozoa. There are 5 Plasmodium parasite species that cause malaria to humans. These are number 1 is Plasmodium 5X, number 2 Plasmodium falciparum, number 3 is Plasmodium mallory, number 4 Plasmodium ovale, and number 5 is Plasmodium knowlesi, Knowlesi, knowlesi. So the 5 malarial parasites that cause disease in human are Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium mallory, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium knowlesi. Among these, Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum pose the greatest threat to humans. And Plasmodium falciparum is the deadliest malarial parasite that is most prevalent in African continent. The symptoms of malaria can be mild or it may be life-threatening. Mild symptoms are fever, chills, headache, etc. Whereas severe symptoms include fatigue, confusion, seizure, and difficulty in breathing. Malaria can be prevented by avoiding mosquito bites and with the medicines. Now let's discuss the life cycle of malaria parasites. The life cycle of malaria parasites involves 2 different hosts. And the hosts are, first is human and the second one is the mosquitoes. The human are known as the intermediate host, whereas the mosquitoes are known as definitive host. Human are known as intermediate host because in human body some of the stages of their sexual cycle occurs, whereas in mosquitoes they are harbour the sexual reproductive stage of the malarial parasites. So some stages of the life cycle of a malarious parasite occur in human and some stages of malaria parasites occur in mosquito. Okay. Here the diagram of a life cycle of malaria parasite is given. The source is CDC, Center for Disease Control. First, the mosquito takes a blood meal. When it takes a blood meal, they injects the sporozoite, which is the infective stage of the malaria parasites. Once they inject the sporozoites in the human, the sporozoites first infect the liver cells. In the liver cells, the sporozoites first converted to the schizont through asexual reproduction, and from schizont it converted to the merozoite. The cycle is occur in the erythrocytes, outside erythrocyte in the liver cells. So this is known as the exoerythrocytic cycle. Erythrocyte means RBC. The other name of RBC is erythrocytes. As these stages occur outside the RBC, this stages is known as exoerythrocytic cycle. Once the merozoite formation occurs, multiple merozoite formation occur, they leave the liver cells and enter into the bloodstream. From there, they enter into the RBC. Once they attack the RBC, this merozoite first converted to the ring stage immature trophozoite. From this ring stage trophozoite, they converted to the mature trophozoite. And from mature trophozoite, they again form the schizont. And from schizont, they form the merozoite. Multiple merozoites formation occurred in the RBC and they leave the RBC by rupturing the RBC. During the rupture of the RBC releases a toxin. Toxin release which is known as the hemozoin. This hemozoin is responsible for the bone shaking chills in human in malarial disease, which is the characteristic sign of malaria. Okay. And the stages that occur in the erythrocytes are known as the erythrocytic cycle. And these stages are also occurred through asexual reproductive stages. And the mature trophozoite, some mature trophozoite then converted to the gametocytes, which is the precursor for the sexual reproductive cycle. So gametocytes formation occurred in the RBC, which is the precursor for the sexual reproduction. But in human, sexual reproductive stages of the malaria parasite does not occur. So these gametocytes must have to enter in the mosquito's body. Now how it enter into the mosquito's body? We'll discuss. When a mosquito takes a blood meal from an infected person, that is a malaria infected person, these gametocytes enter into the mosquito's body. Once it enters into the mosquito's body, in the mosquito's gut, these gametocytes, that is the male gametocytes, that is microgametocytes, converted to microgamete. And the female gametocytes, that the macrogametocytes, converted to the macrogamete. The microgamete penetrate the macrogamete. Once the microgamete penetrate the macrogamete, it first form the zygote. Zygote formation occurred first. Okay, zygote. From the zygote, it then formed the ookinete. And from the ookinete, it formed the oocyst. And the oocyst contain various sporozoites. Once the oocyst bursts, it releases sporozoites, and these sporozoites enter into the mosquito salivary gland. When again the mosquito takes a blood meals from a healthy human, they inject these sporozoites into the human body. Thus the cycle is continued in nature. Okay. Some important points that here the ring stage trophozoites, that is the immature trophozoite, mature trophozoite, schizont, and the gametocytes, all at the diagnostic stages. Because by visualizing these stages, that is the immature trophozoite ring stage, mature trophozoite, schizont, gametocytes, in the blood slides through a microscope, one can easily diagnose a malaria infected person and malaria parasites in the human body. So these are the diagnostic stages, whereas the sporozoites the infective stage. Okay. Now first is the exoerythrocytic cycle. During a blood meal, a malaria infected female Anopheles mosquito inoculates the sporozoites into the human host. Now, as you know that the only the female Anopheles mosquito bite a human and take the blood meal. Because they need the blood not for their food but to produce the egg. This blood provides enough protein for the generation of eggs. That is for the oogenesis. Okay. That's why female Anopheles mosquito take the blood meal to produce the eggs. But both female and male Anopheles mosquito eat flower nectar as their food source. Okay. Then the sporozoites infect the liver cells. Once it infects the liver cells, the sporozoites mature into schizont. And schizont rupture and releases merozoites. These all are asexual reproduction. Okay. And this initial replication, that is asexual stages, in the liver is called as the exoerythrocytic cycle. Okay. Next is the erythrocytic cycle. The merozoites infect the RBC, that is erythrocyte. There the parasite multiplies asexually, called the erythrocytic cycle. Then the merozoites develop into ring stage trophozoite. Some of them mature into schizont and some schizont ruptures which releasing the merozoites. And they destroy and burst the RBC. When they burst the RBC releases the toxin hemajoin which causes the bone shaking chills in human, and which is the characteristic sign for malarial parasite. Some trophozoites different into gametocytes. So some trophozoites differentiate into schizont and some trophozoites differentiate into gametocytes. And this gametocytes is the precursor for sexual reproduction. During a blood meal, the Anopheles mosquito ingests the male, that is microgametocytes, and female, that is macrogametocytes, and beginning the sporogenic cycle. Now, next is the sporogenic cycle. So, both the exoerythrocytic cycle and erythrocytic cycle occur in the human body, and these stages are occurred through asexual reproduction. Okay. Next is the sporogenic cycle. In the mosquito's stomach, the gametocytes converted to gamete. Here the microgamete penetrate the macrogamete, producing the zygote. The zygote become motile and elongated, developing into ookinetes. The ookinetes invade the midgut wall of the mosquito, where they develop into oocysts. The oocysts grow, rupture and release the sporozoites, which then travel to the mosquito's salivary gland. Inoculation of the sporozoites in the human host perpetuates the malaria life cycles. How inoculation occurs? When the female Anopheles mosquito takes the blood meal, the sporozoites enter into the healthy human body through their saliva. Thus, the host perpetuates the malaria life cycle. Okay. Here the schematic diagram of life cycle of malaria parasite is given. The sporozoites, as you know, is the infective stages. So this infective stage infect the human. To infect the human, they must have to enter in the human body. How they enter? When the female Anopheles mosquito takes the blood meal from the human, through their saliva, the sporozoite which is present in the salivary gland enter into the human body. In the human body, they first affect the liver cells. In the liver, they through asexual reproduction, they first form the schizont, then from schizont to merozoite. So, and these stages occur in the liver is known as the exoerythrocytic cycle. Erythrocyte means RBC, That is the RBC means erythrocytes. So as the stage does not occur in the RBC, this stages is known as exoerythrocytic cycle. Now once the merozoites formation occur, multiple merozoites formation occur, they leave the liver cells and they attack the RBC. The merozoite enter into the RBC. First they form into ring trophozoite. Then they from ring trophozoite to schizont, and from schizont to merozoites. The merozoite, multiple merozoites formation occur in the RBC and they want to release the RBC. By rupturing the RBC, they release from the RBC. During the rupture of the RBC releases a toxin which is known as hemojoin. And this hemojoin is responsible for the bone shaking chills of human, which is the characteristic sign of malaria. Also, some trophozoite were converted to schizont, but some trophozoite is converted to the gametocytes, which is the precursor for the sexual reproduction. As we have already discussed that the sexual reproduction does not occur in the human body. So these all stages occur in the human body. So for the sexual reproduction occur in mosquito's body. So for sexual reproduction to occur, the gametocytes must have to enter in the mosquitoes. How they enter? When a female Anopheles mosquito takes a blood meal, they ingest these gametocytes. Once they ingest these gametocytes, the gametocytes enter into the mosquito's body. When these gametocytes entered into the mosquito's gut, these gametocytes converted to gametes. The microgamete, that is the male gamete. Micro means male, and macrogamete is female gamete. Here the mosquito's gut, the microgamete and macrogamete unite. The microgamete penetrate the macrogamete. Once this mating occur, they first form the zygote. From zygote, they form ookinete. Here in the mosquito's body, the sexual reproduction occur. Once they form the ookinete, after that from the ookinete they form the oocyst, and the oocyst rupture releasing the sporozoites which enter into the salivary gland of the mosquito. And again when mosquito takes the blood, the sporozoites, that is the infective stage, is entered into the human body. Healthy human. Does the healthy human become ill? Okay. Now, another important thing you must recall that the sporozoite is the infective stage. Sporozoite is the infective stage. Infective stage is represented I, and the schizont and the schizont, trophozoite, gametocytes, all at the diagnostic stage. Why these are diagnostic stage, we have already discussed. By visualizing these stages, one can identify the malaria parasites, the human blood, and thus can diagnose the malaria. Okay, these are all about the life cycle of a malaria parasites. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.